Banana Slam Jam.
Okay, everybody, hello. This is a 2K 4-position Jakiro. This is going to be a replay analysis for YouTube. He said he needed to buy more regen and lane, and needed to stop playing bot so much, I guess. So let's check and see what he did wrong. So you're with an axe, pretty high harass lane, especially against a hero that can't purge your shit. Why does your axe not have battle hunger? Okay, so your axe is bad. That's a good note to have at the start of the game. I'd be careful throwing out dual breaths at this point. I think your dual breath is only good if your axe has battle hunger. I pretty much think, like, at that point, the minute you use dual breath and your axe doesn't have battle hunger, you just need to chill on the dual breaths. You pretty much just have to wait until Wraith King's either going for a creep so you can do a lot of damage yourself, or just stop using them until he gets level 2. Obviously, you're in 2K and people are going to mess up, but thinking about when your skill is powerful is really important. So, like, think of it in tandem with your own hero. Think of it like when an opponent ability is off cooldown or on cooldown. In this specific case, you have to adjust to your axe being a potato, and that's just life. But using that extra Q on Lion's definitely wasteful. I think your positioning in lane is fine. I just wish you had that extra 135 mana back from the, dual breath on the side. If you're going to spam dual breath this much, you just need to buy more mana regen at the start of the game. Obviously, you said you needed to buy more regen in lane, but it's just like, play according to your items. If you're planning on spamming your spells, then buy mana regen. I understand you bought a Sage's Mask, but that's obviously not enough to support 135 mana on a 10-second cooldown. Fucking battle hunger, Max. So try to go into the lane, especially as support, with like an idea of how you're going to play the lane. And if you have that idea, like how often you're going to spam spells, how often, how much damage you're going to take from the opponent heroes naturally, like are you going to be trading a lot? Are you going to be chilling in the back? What do you need more of? And I just implore you to think about this at the start of the game, not start of the, during the laning stage itself. So right here, it's really good to get in the habit of the mechanic of, I don't know if you did it, I don't know if it shows in replays, but whenever you're chasing somebody near a tower, push Alt, boom, watch, here we go. Push Alt, and you'll know you don't walk in a tower range. So like you can A-click the guy, and then right when you're on the edge of tower range, you can back off, right? So just avoid tanking random tower shots. If you're using that mechanic already, great. If not, or like you're most likely not using it, obviously should have just taken that last hit on the range, but I think going a point in Ice Path is pretty crazy here. You're already having enough mana problems as is. Dual Breath, if you look at the scaling, pretty insane. Doubles in damage. So I think not taking a point in Dual Breath level 2 is pretty insane. Or like putting a second point in dual breath at level 3. You're already having mana issues. The last thing you need to do is give yourself another spell that costs mana. These are all things that it's just like, what problems am I having? How should I skill build accordingly? Little things add up a lot in the laning stage. Little things add up a lot. I don't think it comes down to buying more regen in lane. I think it just comes down to your items synergizing with the way you want to play it. I think, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't have bought more regen. I'm saying that your mentality on what you did wrong in this lane is the problem, not like I don't want you to think I should have just bought more regen. I want you to go into the lane thinking like I'm telling you to think, and then you just won't mess this up nearly as often. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Wraith King's not in lane. Wraith King's not at the big camp because you just walked by it. Where do you think he fucking is, bro? Where do you think he fucking is? You can't go on the fucking shrine. He's right there. Or the outpost, excuse me. You should buy yourself a ward too, by the way. A ward just to scout out their pull camps and stuff, because Axe can be very aggressive. He might actually want to go farm camps as well as lane himself, so giving himself more information on those camps is really important. Anytime you have an offlaner that wants to play super aggressive, giving them some deep ward is really important. The fact they haven't bought a ward this game is pretty crazy to me. When I say bought, they're absolutely free. I think this rotation is reasonable. Storm very aggressive in comparison to Medusa. Makes no sense to be making the rotation without a ward, though. Maybe your top lane took both wards. I think that requires you to communicate and tell them not to take the wards. I don't think going top there is actually correct. I think your Axe is really strong, and you should always be able to be in his lane. As a support, I like to play around cores that are really strong and enable me to be strong. So I'd much rather be playing around Axe. PA doesn't want attention brought to her. If you bring 3 heroes top, it's that much more likely that the PA is going to get like 3-man to top. Think about it that way. The more heroes you bring to a specific location, the more likely it is that the opponent brings heroes there as well. What heroes on my team want heroes in their lane? What heroes don't want heroes in their lane? And usually, like, obviously you could say, like, BSJ, would Axe really want 3 heroes in his lane either? Well, it's like, what hero would you prefer to be fighting 3v3 with? Would it be Axe or would it be PA? You can, like, quickly gank for the PA if she's getting dove or some shit, but you just kind of, like, came top, got a kill real quick, and then left. Or, like, and then stayed there, excuse me. And I wouldn't really think PA needs to be ganked for. I think Axe dying twice bottom is because you left. I think your biggest issue, and a lot of why you're 2K, is you're just not warding at all. You're just walking blindly into spots and dying. Give yourself some information. You have absolutely no information. You need to start thinking, like, where am I going to play on the map? Ward it and play around it. You can't kind of just go from lane to lane. You need to, as like a 4 position, or even like a 5 that's mobile on the map, you usually choose places to ward, potentially TP to the other side of the map to respond to like what the opponent is doing, but then play around your own wards. Like, when I say carries, like the default is to leave your dead lane and play around bottom, and the exception is to play top. On supports, the default is to play around your own wards. So choose a place that you want to play with some sort of educated guess. Like, I understand you're 2K, so your conceptual knowledge of the game is not going to be super high. But if you want to play bottom, ward bottom. You want to play top, ward top. If you don't have a ward somewhere, don't fucking play there. And so it's like, the biggest issue I have with this game, and when I'm watching you, is not necessarily what you're doing wrong. It's that you went into lane with very little mana regen and spammed your spells. That sounds wrong to me immediately. Your item build did not line up with the way you wanted to play the lane. And then, you're just like not giving yourself wards to play on the part of the map that you want to play on. I don't care where you play. Meaning, like, if I go into this replay and you're playing around like 3 wards in their jungle, and I could have been like, hey man, I don't really think you should have been playing bottom. I think you should have played top, yada yada yada. It's much easier to correct you because you had a purpose. Like, you're like, oh, I'm playing bottom around these wards. I think it's better, etc. I understand you're only 2K, and people tend to come into these like replay analysis, not you specifically who signed it or like signed up for it, but the people who are watching it, they think, BSJ, this is 2K. They can't apply any conceptual fucking knowledge to the game. And it's like bullshit. Like, what makes supports at the highest level successful is that they're warding certain places they want to play with some semblance of a guess. Like, they're just guessing, but obviously their knowledge is better than yours. And they're playing around their own wards. So it's like, ask yourself, what cores do I want to play around? Who am I playing around? Why? Who enables me? Who do I enable? What do I do? So it's like, Axe applies a ton of lane pressure. But guess what? Axe himself doesn't actually hit the tower. So isn't your hero great for pressuring with the Axe? Does Storm want you camping his lane? No, but like maybe ganking once for the Storm, great. Maybe ganking once for the PA, great. But like your default should be with the Axe at all times and creating a ton of pressure. You need to start thinking like, what core wants me to play with them? Like, ask myself, if I was a PA, do I really want 3 heroes in my lane? If I'm a Storm, do I really want to support constantly camping my lane? Probably not. Like, I want to hit some jungle creeps and I want to rotate. So these are 2 heroes that primarily spend their time farming, while Axe is the hero that primarily spends his entire game fucking running at the opponent. So the only time that you can leave your axe alone is when you think, like, I've sufficiently dumpstered this lane, they're not coming back. And it's like, if you think they're not coming back, that's probably because you think they shouldn't. And then guess what? What if they come back? Then you're like, what the fuck are these guys doing? And they're a bunch of 2K fucking nerds. And then you go back bottom and kill them again. Like, that's the whole idea, right? You're against Mirana. Have Dust, have Sentries. No reason to make any rotation in the fucking universe without Dust Sentries at this stage of the game. Think about not only the heroes you're playing with, but the heroes you're playing against still don't have detection. Guess why your axe came top? Anybody in chat, think to yourself right now. Why did the axe come top? Because even though he's 2K, this axe knows he's strong and that he's supposed to be aggressive. But he also knows he can't do it alone. So why is he top? Because you're top. So, like, the way you learn these type of things is you can watch, like, as a support, it's so important to understand in general what your core heroes do. I have a feeling that most 2K support players know that Axe wants to be running at the opponent and cutting creep waves and, like, diving tower. I have to believe most of you know that. So what boils down to is thinking, well, I know he wants to do that. How do I fit into that equation? I think it's really obvious when you think it out loud that you fit into that equation really well. You're a follow-up stun. You're another slow. You have liquid fire for the tower. So it's like, usually, if you've played a decent amount of Dota, you'll have this knowledge, and you're just not utilizing it. Like, you're just not. And I really do want to just wrap up the replay here, because I think 80% of support impact is, like, in the first 15 minutes of the game. I think, as a support, you should feel like your responsibility at the lowest level is to, at any level, I guess, but especially at the lowest level, is to set up your cores with good games. Like, that's what your job is. And you may say, BSJ, they're going to feed, and, like, they shoot their shit and all that stuff. I promise you, if you enable your Axe to have a really good laning stage, and you pressure bottom, take the Wraith King's tower, and Wraith King has a little farm because you did that you will win way more games doing that than you will playing the way you played this game. So there's about 10 major points we made during this short amount of replay, and it's like really good example of what makes people 2K. And it's not meant to be a flame. It's meant to be like, it's fundamental shit that applies every single game. Your items need to line up with the way you're playing. You need to play around wards. You need to think about what core you're playing around. You need to look to pressure the right places. You need to have the proper detection or items against the opponent. All these things combined just add up so quickly to you just being a low-impact support player. You have low mana in lane. Last thing you want to do level 3 is level a second skill that requires mana. Look at your skills in terms of how much they scale. Like, if you're going to play a hero, look at the damn skills, right? Not to be mean about it, but if you're going to spend 135 mana on a spell, why not spend an extra 5 mana to literally double the damage, right? Double the damage for an extra 5 mana, and you're not skilling that at level 3? You know, like, that's the kind of stuff where it's like, damn, now that you're talking it out loud, BSJ, I'm stupid. And it's like, yes, that is exactly what I'm telling you, but in the most endearing and, you know, cheerleading, I'm rooting for you kind of way. So hope you enjoyed this replay analysis, and we'll call it there.